Thank you so much for coming back to my channel. We're going to do 50-50 bars, so I'm going to show you the ratios of color. This is Ecru from Primo. It's plain. That's for the stick. For the vanilla ice cream, we have about half white to half translucent with a little pinch of Ecru in order to warm it up, to give you a little bit of a warmer vanilla. And then for the popsicle stick, I just have orange mixed with some yellow and translucent. I want about 3/4 translucent to 1/4 color. So it will look just nicer for the finished product. So those are our 3 colors. You're going to go ahead and mix the vanilla and the orange color thoroughly. And then for the Ecru for the popsicle stick, you just roll that out flat. You can do this with a pasta roller or a clay roller like you see me doing here. This is one that's good for making multiples of. And what I mean by that is if you roll out a decent amount, all you do is take some cuts like this. You bake them flat, and when they're all done baking, you get sticks like this. I like to keep them and use them for future reference. And then once it's done baking, you just chop them into lengths to use as popsicle sticks. Okay, so for the vanilla ice cream, I start by rolling them into balls. If you want to make multiples, you'll want to make multiple balls so that way when you get the right size, you at least have a frame of reference. So you can easily replicate the size that you want. So I roll it into a cylinder about the length of the ice cream, but not quite. And then I'm going to roll this ice cream portion into a ball and flatten it out. You don't want it paper thin. There's the outside color of the ice cream. You want to try to close it around the ball without you want to close it around the ball without having any white spaces showing. And then I'll continue going in a circle, twisting it to try to smooth out any lines that were created by covering it. And I rotate it, and I'm putting just enough pressure on it to twist it. And then as I do that, I flatten one side while I try to keep the other sides more rounded. You can even pull slightly if you want it elongated a little bit more. And now this part is where we actually get our shape to our popsicle. Now you have a choice here. You can do 2 or 1. Let me show you one with 2 here. So I press slightly down with a paintbrush, and you could do this with any round object. And this are those two indents on that style of ice cream. And then from here, I would take a needle and poke a hole in the bottom and rock back and forth. And then from here, I would go ahead and I would dip the end in a little TLS and place it in. And from here we cook it. For the other type, I would want a much fatter end, like this. And I roll back and forth. And I make sure that I don't have too much pressure towards the top. So there we go. Now let me go ahead and put a stick back in just so you can see what it would look like. And then to finish it, what I like to do with my ice creams, sorry guys, I'm looking for a blade here that's flexible. I bend a blade, and you have to decide on what side you want your bite out of it. So there we go. And here you have your nice ice cream center. I like to keep the outside, smooth and texture the inside. Let me go ahead and get a pen real quick so we can start texturing. Hello, so we're back. I wanted to show you how I like to texture the inside. Now it's harder to, I can't see my actual hands because they are directly in front of the camera, so I'm having to look through the screen. I'm not used to quite working that way. It's not quite like texturing a cake. I like to start with a few little circles to rough it up a little bit, but then I like to do a soft up and down motion. And then after that I tend to try to just go back over then I'll tap down some of the areas. Make sure I clean up the inside area. And then, because I didn't put the TLS, I decided to put it now. And then stick it back in the hole. And since TLS found its way to the outside, I'll remove that with my pen, and then we'll cook it. So here we go. And then from here, I'm going to go ahead and glaze the outside as soon as we're back. I am back, and I'm going to show you guys how to turn these into a charm. Basically, I'm just going to go ahead and take a pin and stick it where I want it to be in my item. I'll push it all the way through. And this is after it's already been baked. You can do this if you're using Primo. I haven't tried this with Fimo because I use primarily Primo. Sculpey is brittle, so Sculpey will not work. I still use Sculpey, but I'll use at least half translucent Primo to strengthen it. Now what I'm doing is just kind of loosening up that hole a little bit, and you want it to be a few minutes before you remove it. And then what I do is I take a head pin and stick it through the hole. Then I bend it, and I make a 90-degree angle. Now you'll want to do this with your right hand if you're right-handed. So it's a little L shape. Now this one, if you're right-handed, you'll still probably want to do this. Since jewelry is two-handed, really, I use my right and left hand a lot. So I take my hand, I have it flipped over with my round nose pliers, and I roll it back. So your hand just rolls upwards in a more natural position. And then I just pushed it with my thumb, the wire, so it makes a little loop. Hopefully that's not too hard to see. I slide on a clasp. You could slide on a ring, like a little jump ring, or you could slide on even ear wires. I twist it, and then I chop off. Hopefully that was clear enough for you all to see. So here we go, and we have a little ice cream. If your little head pin is sticking up in the back, what I like to do is I take the rounded back and I press it straight against so that little nail lays flat. And now I'm going to glaze this. I'm still using triple thick at the moment, but I'm hoping to find another glaze soon. And then I glaze just the orange portion of the ice cream. I don't glaze the white part or the stick. And you may be wondering how the glaze is going to dry without getting messed up, since I just have it on the back and the front of my piece. The answer to that, my friends, is simple. I throw it onto my clasp, and so it's going to dry hanging. So it dries well, and there we go. So what I'm going to do is I have an earring rack, and it's a perfect place. This is just a double-pointed needle for knitting, and I'm just going to put that between two little hooks, and it lets this dangle. Otherwise, you could always open the clasp and even put it on an earring rack if that will allow it to hang sufficiently. So thanks so much for coming back. I really do appreciate it. And I set up a Patreon account because I'm going to be doing long videos there as just part of the packages. And my videos here are going to be shorter going to the future, where it's just I'm still going to probably try to talk through a lot of them, but I'm going to have it a lot shorter on the channel here, since I get so many comments about being boring on my various videos. And then that way the videos that I'm going to have through Patreon is going to be a lot longer and more detailed. And for those of you who like my long videos, at least there's a way to access them. And there will also be fun little challenges. So thank you all, and I'll be back with nachos for my next tutorial.